name's Tamsin. I'm the events coordinator at Maestral Nature and History Park. This week I'm going to show you how to make some 3D versions of flowers that are found at the park using materials we have at home and usually throw away. We are then going to turn the flowers into a bouquet for Mother's Day. The first flower we're going to be making is a crown daisy. So the materials and tools that we'll be needing are a pair of scissors, a ruler, a paintbrush to apply the glue. This is just white glue or PVA glue. Some bottle tops, ideally yellow if you have them, but it's fine if you have other colours. Some yellow tissue paper, some sellotape, and a yellow crisp packet. People in Malta should know this brand of crisps. If you don't have any yellow crisp packets or tissue paper, don't worry. Just grab a normal A4 white piece of paper and paint it yellow. And you'll be needing some red paint later on, a paintbrush and a water pot, and ideally a yellow or orange pen if you have it, but don't worry if you don't. And a palette would be good too, just to mix some different colours. So we're just going to look at a picture of a crown daisy next. It's good to look at a picture of the flower just for inspiration and just to see how they're formed. So we're going to take our crisp packet and scissors. When I made my first one, I found that I could peel the foil off the back, which you don't have to if you don't want to, but it just makes them more translucent, like a petal. And don't discard these bits. If you want to continue crafting, you could even start a craft box. If you're finding the foil a bit difficult to take off, don't worry about it. You can do it as you go along. So I'm going to cut. Oh, and if anybody quite young is watching this and you've not used scissors on your own before, I'd ask for an adult to give you a hand. So we want these long bits, ideally. So if you just cut the bits with the text on them, cut them off as we don't need them. Then cut down the centre here, or around the picture rather. Oh, and by the way, I'm working on a grotty table, so it doesn't matter if I get paint on it, but if you don't have a table like this, then I'd put some newspaper down. So, yeah, now it should be easier to peel off the foil pieces like that. And then I'm just going to measure. I want a rectangle that's 6 centimeters long. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. So if you just cut roughly at 6 centimeters, and then about, just going to trim this, about 1.5 centimeters wide. So I'm just going to cut down the middle here. I'm going to cut 2 incisions there, and you'll see why I'm doing this later, just straight. And then I'm going to cut the shape of the petal. So just round like that. and then turn it over. And then if you've noticed at the ends of the petals, they kind of do this fine, funny zigzaggy shape. So there you go. And they don't have to be perfect. If you look closely at flowers in nature, no two petals are the same, so it doesn't matter if they're completely different. So I'll just show you that again. So if the piece of the crisp packet end, if you keep that at the bottom, so do the two inserts there, and then start cutting the petal. And I quite like these crisp packets because of the lines down them, because on the petals they do have not as stark lines obviously, but they have those lines that go down the petal. Okay, and then and don't worry about making any mistakes, because you can just trim them or shape them later on if you want to. So yeah, there's 2 petals there. So here are a few I've been cutting out earlier. I counted 13 petals on one flower, so I think that's probably the ideal amount. So next you need your bottle top, your scissors and some sellotape. And if you just cut a piece about 2 centimeters long, and then grab one of your petals and stick it to the bottle top like that. Oops. Okay, you can see the flower beginning to form. Obviously, if you don't have the crisp packet, you'll be doing this with the yellow painted paper. So I've gone round once and done one layer, and it can be a bit fiddly with the tape. Sometimes it won't stick, but just don't worry, just do it a bit delicately and keep persisting, and then eventually it'll all stick down. So I'm going to go round on a second round and just put some petals in between the other ones. Like that. So just find an in-between petal. See, and then it starts to bulk it up a little bit. Okay, so this is one I finished earlier. So that's how it looks. If you don't have a crisp packet, then you can grab your tissue paper or painted yellow paper and just fold it over a few times. This is just remnants from another craft project, so it might not be exact. And then measure 6 centimeters on your ruler. And then cut in the same way that I showed you before. So then you have a few petals, and with these you can just apply some white or PVA glue and then just glue the petals on. And obviously these are quite translucent, so I'd definitely do 2 layers with this. I forgot to say before that you will actually need 2 crisp packets if you want to do 2 layers. But you can also use crisp packets and a combination of crisp packets and tissue paper. We need to create the middles now, and if you look at Crown Daisy, it has that centre of pollen, which it would be great to create that 3D effect. So I'm going to try and do that using tissue paper. Just scrunch it up and roll it into a ball, and then just apply some white glue or PVA glue to the middle. And then just drop the balls into the centre. And yes, working with white glue can be a bit messy sometimes, but it's also quite fun. Just try and stuff a few in there. And there you have one Crown Daisy. So as I said before, if you don't have tissue paper, you can use normal white paper that's been painted yellow, and just draw around. If you turn the paper around, you don't need a yellow pen necessarily for this, but if you draw around the bottle top, that side. Oops. Oh, I should do it at the corner to make it easier to cut. And then just cut that shape out. And there you have a top for your bottle top. Just apply some more white glue. Oh, needs to go on this one, forgot about that. It doesn't really need it that much because it's already yellow, so you could leave it like that, but I do want to put some orange looking pollen in the middle. It doesn't matter if you get white glue in places you don't want it to be, because it dries clear. And then I'm just going to mix up some yellow and orange paint. Yellow and red. And then just grab some yellow. And just dab some pollen-like marks in the middle there. Another crown daisy. Here are all the crown daisies I made today. I'll be keeping them in a box to save them till the end of the week to create the final bouquet. So feel free to make as many as you want, of course, and it would be really great if you sent us your photos or posted them in the comments on our post in the event. I hope you enjoyed this little craft session, and that I will see you again tomorrow for the next flower. Thanks for joining.